Welcome, everyone, to Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. I am your host, Will Power, and that is not John Murrow to my right or left, however it is on the screen. I don't know. But yeah, we have Ernie Orange as a special guest from the Power Hour show that we have on Sunday evenings. What's up, Ernie? How you doing, man?
Hey, well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be talking fantasy baseball. I know John Murrow's actually at a Sixers game. What is he doing there? First of all, the Sixers are already eliminated. There's no star player. Tyrese Maxey's out. No Joel Embiid. No Paul George. He should be here talking fantasy baseball. Just saying.
Yeah,
But
he did say that his dad's in town, so he wanted to spend some time with his dad. You know, family first. I completely understand that. So better
totally.
be back next week again, John.
Well, I'm just
So
excited, man. Just to let everyone know, I am also a big fantasy sports type person. I won 2-time champion in my fantasy football league, and I started the season 15-0 last year. Carlos, Will.
bro,
So, well, I'm already calling you Carlos. Oh my god! Sorry, Will. But yes,
No, you good,
15-0
man.
is
You
a great
good. I
start,
mean,
and
I do got the beard like Carlos does, right?
you sure do, man. You look just like Carlos on the screen.
Just a little light skinned.
Yes.
All right, man. You ready to get in some fantasy baseball?
Let's get it on, man. I'm ready.
All right. So on today's lineup, we have Zac Gallen. He just had a career start. So are we holding or selling Zac Gallen? Also talking about some waiver wire top ads at each position and our favorite starting pitcher streamers for this weekend. So Ernie, I know you guys talk about this a lot on your episode, but we are a team here at Real Talk Baseball, and we are trying to reach that 1,000 subscribers. We were trying to get it before the season started. We are so close. So please, if you are watching this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We have the QR code in the top right corner. You can scan that. It'll take you to all of our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call that now. Facebook, all that stuff. We talk baseball all day long, every day. It is our passion. And this is hopefully what we can do as our careers later on in life. So, just a stepping stone until we get to that point. All right. And we also have the fan league that we started right before the season. We did our draft a couple weeks ago, and I'd like to announce the names in the fan league. So first we have Kobe Jackson, team name Otani Doe.
Okay.
Fernando, no last name, Rookie of the Year. Jamal, no last name. Boo Bitch, get out of the way. I think it's Boo Bitch, get out the way. I think that's the way
like
you
that
say
one.
that. Jesse, Padre Bod.
All right.
Briar is Dumpster Briar, like dumpster fire. Tony Snap is Moneyball. We got Jeff Ryan as Stealing Jeff. I think that's just kind of like the generic name that Yahoo probably gave him, and he just didn't change it, but that's cool. Danny, we got Mookie Monster. Sean Duffy, If the Bryce is Right. Yudi. Now, maybe you can help me with this one, man. I don't know what this means, but it's in Spanish, and it's Dominicanos.
Oh, it's like Dominican and Puerto Rican mix. That's what
maybe.
Like
he is from Puerto Rico. So
interesting. So maybe he's from both areas. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he just likes both nationalities, and because they're both big into baseball. So
yeah. Special shout out to these players, man. Whoever wins is going to win a Real Talk Baseball jersey. So that's pretty exciting. So you better be putting in your work, because that's a big price. And especially when it cuts for free, you gotta.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And it's such a good prize at the end. And we do have one more, and that's Kevin Moda, who's actually been on this show a few times. He's helped out as a fantasy analyst, and he started out as just a subscriber. And I kind of felt like, maybe we need to get him in there and try to win some free gifts for him too. He's a really good fantasy player, so he actually has a really good chance of winning. We'll see. But everyone, you got to beat me first.
I don't know. That's a lot of leagues. Well, you're in 5 leagues.
I know.
That's amazing, man. I couldn't. I'm in 2, and I'm just making sure I invest my time in those 2 to make sure to win.
It's hard. It's hard, but because I have a job that starts at 3:00 in the morning and I get off at 12:30 in the afternoon, I have, the whole day, and I'm on the East Coast, and most baseball games don't even start until, 1:00 in the afternoon for me anyway. So usually I'm on top of it. Every day is a challenge, but it's a fun challenge. And
Sure.
so for that league, we'll give some shout outs occasionally and give updates on the standings throughout the season. So back to Zac Gallen. So Ernie, before the season started, what was your initial thought about Zac Gallen? Like if you saw him in your draft, if the name was coming up in your draft, would he have been on your radar?
Definitely. Zach Gallen's that guy. He's that true ace that Arizona Diamondbacks really believe in. That guy that they expect them to take them deep into the playoffs. He's been part of the rotation for a while there, and he had a rough start opening day, but he bounced back yesterday against the New York Yankees in New York, and he showed dominance, true dominance on a crazy Yankee lineup that was being talked about, one of the best with the torpedo bats. No,
Dude.
Zach Gallen proved that pitching matters. It doesn't
Oh
matter
yeah.
what bat you have. A pitcher dominating the game is greater than having a torpedo bat. So if I was me, I would still hold on to Zac Gallen. I would not trade him. After that start yesterday, I was truly impressed by his performance. He continues to prove that he is the true ace of that Diamondback rotation. He is the reason why the Diamondbacks have been so good as of late. And you got to hold on. It's too early to move on from him. Will.
Yeah, I agree, especially in a points league, man, when pitchers usually have like the upper hand on hitters. And, starting pitching, it's not hard to come by, but a pitcher of that kind of caliber, Zac Gallen. So just a few years ago, he was fifth in Cy Young voting, so he's up there. He got the nod for opening day, like you said, even with Corbin Burns getting signed by the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns has so much hype around him. He goes higher on the draft than Zac Gallen does, but the Diamondbacks, Torey Lavulo, he trusts Zac Gallen to go out there and shut him down. And unfortunately, like you said, he didn't have the best start, but that's okay. I had a broken clock once, and it was right twice a day. And everyone is right sometimes in their life and everyone's wrong sometimes in their life. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. But I think Zac Gallen is one of those good ones. And I'd be happy to keep him on my roster. 6 2/3 innings pitched, only allowed 3 hits against this star-studded Yankees lineup, 13 strikeouts, and he got the
Man,
win.
that's amazing. That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. I think he got close to like 30 points in this game, maybe even more, depending on like the settings of each individual league. But I think in our league he got a little bit over 30 points actually.
And you got to understand, spring training, these guys take a while to bounce back. There's a lot of struggling top players right now that are struggling big time. And Zac Gallen was able to prove that second start. He's finding his groove again. He's finding his command. He's finding ways to win, strike these guys out. And that's the most important part. It's a long season, and he's going to have more than 30 starts this year. So you're hoping at least 20 of those are good, quality starts, and you're going to be just fine.
Now in 2022, when I mentioned that Zac Gallen was 5th in Cy Young voting, he made 31 starts that year. He also had a 13 strikeout game against the Dodgers that season. So 2022, the Dodgers were still a powerhouse, and they still struck out against this guy 13 times. So he made 31 starts in 2022, finished with a 2.54 ERA, 47 walks with 192 strikeouts and 184 innings pitched. Now,
that's beautiful.
This beginning to the season, especially against these Bronx Bombers, do you think that Zac Gallen could have another Cy Young caliber season this year?
Why not? I mean, he proves time and time again that he is that guy. And even adding Corbin Burns to your rotation, he's only going to get better. Having a guy right hand to him like that, showing him the ways. He's going to be in the mix. This is a star-studded NOS. That's the only thing that scares me. All 4 teams, Giants, Padres, they all could compete, especially the Dodgers, right? So it's scary. So this is the only reason why I probably won't give him the Cy Young, just because he has to face all these tough teams in the division.
Yeah.
While you have other guys in the other divisions having it way easier, like in the NL Central, NL East. That NL West is dangerous, man. It's tough.
Now, okay, there's a couple starting pitchers, Bailey Ober and Justin Steele, that are ranked higher than Zac Gallen. If someone offered you either Bailey Ober or Justin Steele, who just struggled, both of them just struggled in their latest starts. Now, would you accept that, Bailey Ober or Justin Steele for Zac Gallen?
Not at all. I will
You
still
just
hold Zac
rolling
Gallen.
with Gallen?
Yeah, because you got to understand that Bailey Ober and Justin Steele are really inconsistent. They show signs of great dominance, but they still don't have that ace caliber pitching like Gallen does.
Yeah,
How about you?
I completely agree. I think that I actually target Zac Gallen before I target Bailey Ober and Justin Steele. Both of those guys, like, they kind of came out of nowhere like a couple years ago, whereas Zac Gallen's been there for 5 years and he's been really, really good for all those 5 years, you know. Some inconsistencies kind of here and there. The walks are up a little bit, but you know what? I think that this year, I think he got it, man. Like you said, he has his number two. Um, I think that they're a solid 1-2 punch for the Diamondbacks rotation, and the Diamondbacks haven't had that for a long time.
Yeah, that's a sick rotation right now. Those D-backs are scary. You know, even though they have to face the Padres, who are undefeated as well. Special shout out to the Padres and Dodgers for continuously winning these past 8-7 games. But this Diamondback is a scary team. They could compete with anybody, and having Zac Gallen in the mound, it's a scary matchup for anybody.
Agree. All right, Ernie. So I know you and Carlos talked about these torpedo bats on your Power Hour show this past Sunday. So just let the fans know, anyone that didn't watch this past show, what are your general thoughts on the torpedo bat? Do you like them? Do you think they should be illegal? What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, from our previous show, I mentioned that these torpedo bats are technically legal. Rob Manfred, the commissioner, has come out to say that they are within rules. So I guess they're okay to use. I'm okay with them. They look ugly. I don't like them. It definitely benefits a lot of these players. You've seen a big impact on their fantasy value, just like Anthony Volpe, a guy that doesn't really have much pop. And he's starting off the season with like 3 home runs already in the first week. You're seeing Junior Caminero also come out and say that he uses these torpedo bats. And this is why he's already having a promising start this first week. These torpedoes are only going to benefit these players. Now, like I mentioned with Zac Gallen, pitching still dominates the game. It doesn't really matter, but it's definitely going to help these smaller young guys like Jazz Chisholm that needs a little bit more power. Those torpedo bats, that barrel being lower, is definitely going to benefit them big time. For fantasy purposes, whoever's using the torpedo bat, I'll go ahead and claim them from the wires right now. Just going to throw that out there. You got to make sure that these guys are going to get a little bit of more pop. And, you know, Jazz Chisholm, that small right field porch is only going to benefit him way more.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really like these torpedo bats, dude. Like, even when I was playing, I preferred a balanced bat more than an end-loaded bat, and I feel like you have just more control over the bat. And that's the whole point of these bats, dude. It's basically like it gives you the feel of choking up on the bat. Like when you have 2 strikes on you and you choke up a little bit, so you have a little bit more control of the bat. That's the feel you have during your whole at bat, dude. And I'm digging them. I mean, I look at the Yankees. The Yankees are digging them. Max Muncy is digging them. He's been swinging the torpedo bat lately. He got a double yesterday. Scored a couple RBIs on that. It's looking good, man. I like these torpedo bats. I think they're here to stay, and we're gonna see them be popping up here and there around the league. I think there was actually a catcher for the Cubs that used the torpedo bat, and he hit for the cycle the other day.
Oh, that's right. Carson Kelly. And
Yeah,
he's another waiver wire pickup that could possibly help your team. These torpedo bats are going to help a lot of players, and it's only going to help us fantasy baseball fans that we like to play this game, because these stats is what matters the most, is what's going to give us the most points. So if your guy's using a torpedo bat, even better for you. You got guys like Max Muncy calling already that he wants his torpedo bat. He's been struggling. But you got guys like Ohtani and Judge that say, we don't need a torpedo bat. We're just okay with our regular bat, and we still got the pop that we really need. So it depends. I feel like guys that were struggling, like you said, had to choke up on the bat a little bit more. These torpedo bats are making a difference for them to start the season. They had a full spring to use them, and they were allowed, so they're going to take advantage and use them going forward. We got Neto in the chat. He says, I don't need a new weapon. I am the weapon. Okay, yeah, I like that one.
Nice. That's like a what is that? Lethal Weapon? Mel Gibson, doesn't he say something like that in that movie? It's a good movie. Let's see. Regarding the torpedo bat, Ohtani said, I don't plan on using it, but I'm not going to rule out the possibility from that start either. So I don't know. Maybe Ohtani gets in a little slump, feels like he needs to change up something. I feel like that's going to happen with a lot of batters, and there's going to be a torpedo bat somewhere in the dugout, and they're going to be like, let me try this. Let me see what happens.
Exactly.
It's gonna catch on, dude. It's already catching on, and I think it's gonna make its way through the whole league eventually.
For
All right,
sure.
man. So starting with the catcher position, we're gonna go to the waiver wire, the top 3 most added catchers. Starting with Hunter Goodman of the Rockies, rostered 13%. So far, he's batting a 368 with 2 home runs and 20 plate appearances. Then we have Ivan Herrera of the Cardinals, 39% rostered, batting 467 with 3 home runs and 17 plate appearances. And we haven't really heard this name in a while. Keibert Ruiz of the Nationals, 38% rostered, batting 381 with 2 home runs and 23 plate appearances. So, Ernie, if you need one of these catchers, if your catcher went down or is just not living up to par and you want to switch him out, which of these players are you most excited about adding, if any?
Yeah, they're all 3 great options, but the one I have to choose is Ivan Herrera, who is 40% rostered. After yesterday's performance, he became the first Cardinals catcher to hit 3 home runs in a game in Cardinals history. It was really impressive. He hit 3 bombs out of the Angels from lefty pitchers, 2 from Jusei Kikuchi, and 1 from Brock Burke. It looked amazing. Like you said, he has 7 hits in his last 15 at-bats. He already has 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. He's 24 years old, and he's finally getting a chance to play every day. You know, that's really important for these guys. They're really young. They just need to get some at bats, and he's becoming a true starter in this lineup for this Cardinal team. You know, I'm sorry, but Wilson Contreras is struggling big time. He's only has like 1 for his last 24 at bats. That's not looking great. I think they're going to go ahead and move Contreras to first base, and he's going to probably be their primary catcher every day. There's no reason why this guy should be on the bench. So for me, Ivan Herrera, I know you had big faith in him last year. I saw you pick them up in the waiver wire. You had him as a catcher when you had some injuries with Sean Murphy, if I'm not mistaken.
Sean Murphy and Wilson Contreras was out also. So he was the guy in the Cardinals organization for a while. And you said he had 3 home runs in 1 game. I didn't know that, dude. That's pretty impressive no matter who you are, man.
It was against lefty pitching, but hey, that's still impressive, right? And not anybody just does that in a regular day. And as a catcher, 24-year-old kid, he still has some pop in him, and he's finally going to get a full season under his belt, and I think he's going to be the real guy going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Now, slightly more rostered at 57% is Gabriel Moreno of the Diamondbacks. He's batting 400 with no extra base hits, but he has exceptional plate discipline, finishing 2024 with 41 walks to 52 strikeouts. Now, if Moreno's available, would you prefer Moreno to Ivan Herrera, or do you think you'd still go Herrera?
You know what? Gabby Moreno last year was a bit inconsistent for me. Yes, he had a strong finish to the second half of the season, but the way Ivan Herrera is playing right now, you got to go with the hot hand. And especially coming down to the weekend, you need to win this matchup. You want to start the season 1-0. So I would definitely go with Ivan Herrera. He's a safer option right now. Gabby Moreno is in a deeper lineup. A lot of offensive power with that Diamondbacks team, but I feel like Gabby Moreno just hasn't found his bat just yet. So he's still a bit struggling to start the season.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks, I feel like they have like a really good lineup. So there is a lot of opportunities for runs and RBIs. But like you said, he has to just be more consistent, just get on base a lot. So he does have really good plate discipline. So he is going to take walks, a lot of walks. But like you said, man, he's very inconsistent. The 220 batting average or whatever it was from last year, I think that could come into play, and he'll try to do the best he can, and hopefully he can get on base for the rest of this Diamondbacks lineup. But I don't know, Ivan Herrera with those 3 home runs, you're kind of like tipping the scales for me, man. I think I might be switching over and looking more into Ivan Herrera.
All right, after this show, I'm going to go run to the waiver wire. I'm going to go pick him up before you beat me to him.
Wait, where's my phone? I got to do it right now.
Nah, I just got to let you know that, Ivan Herrera, 2 of those home runs were go-ahead home runs too. So that matters a lot to me.
Yeah.
What part of the game was it? It was a tie game. Both times he gave the Cardinals the lead. So that's pretty impressive.
That's awesome. That's such a good feeling as a player too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. So now for first baseman among the top ads, we have Gavin Sheets of the Padres. It's weird to say that. 12% rostered, 444 batting average with 1 home run and 1 stolen base. Ben Rice of the Yankees, 12% rostered, 385 batting average with 2 home runs. and Spencer Torkelson of the Tigers, who was sent down to AAA last season because he was just kind of sucking. And now, dude, he's raking 36% rostered, 318 batting average, only has one home run, one stolen base, but his OPS is above 1,000. So, Ernie, which of these most added first basemen are you likely to add? Gavin Sheets, Ben Rice, Spencer Torkelson.
This is a tough decision. I was victim to both of these guys last year, Ben Rice and Spencer Torkelson. I had them both in my waiver wire as my first baseman. They both kind of let me down last year. Spencer Torkelson, I spent pretty big money for this guy. Huge expectations out of a number one pick in 2020 draft. He didn't live up to it last year. He got sent out to AAA, struggled even worse out there. And this year, he seems like he's found his bat again. He's finally got some plate discipline. He's getting more walks. Yes, he's known for that long ball. He only has one home run, but his time will come. And I think after that matchup against that Dodgers pitching staff, he looked like he could get some pretty good hits going forward. He saw some tough pitching. It'll only get easier from there. So if I had to choose, I had to go Spencer Torkelson right now. He is the safer option. Ben Rice also in the mix, but I think it's tough right now because he's still like mix and match with Paul Goldschmidt. You don't know when he's going to play. He's going to play in certain matchups when Ben Rice is a lefty batter. So it's kind of tough for me there. So for me, the safest bet is Spencer Torkelson. Is this his year to prove it, or else I think the Tigers are going to ship him out and they'll get rid of him. So I think this is his year to prove it. It's contract year. He wants to prove that he deserves to get paid, and he should be their everyday first baseman.
Yeah, I like Torkelson. I've always been a Torkelson fan. I don't know if you mentioned this earlier. He was a first round pick for the Tigers, and I don't think they necessarily missed. I think they're just maybe he was called up too early. They're just not developing him the way that they should be right now. The dude has massive pop, and unfortunately, he does play in Detroit where home runs go to die. And I think that he would thrive in another ballpark, but he's got to, take it for what it's worth and really just be the first baseman that Detroit needs. They had Miguel Cabrera for so long. He was their stud at first base. They need another stud at first base, man. And Torkelson, if he could just figure it out, put it all together, he could be.
He's dangerous.
He's super dangerous, dude. And the exit velocities are out of control. He does have really good plate discipline, even for a power hitter. He just doesn't square up the ball enough. And I think that could be the issue, but he's been looking pretty good lately. So I think in a categories league, I think he has a little bit more value just because of the power. He's going to be hitting a lot of those extra base hits, and he has 30 to 35 home run power in that ballpark, even in that bad ballpark. So I do like Spencer Torkelson. Out of these three, I don't know, because Gavin Sheets was a top prospect also. I do like Gavin Sheets. I liked him when he first got called up, but he's just been on a really weird team in the White Sox. And
yep.
I feel like they just didn't know how to develop him. The same thing kind of like with Torkelson. I feel like the Padres are actually the perfect team to kind of develop that bat. They have so much talent on that roster to kind of like mold him into the player that he could eventually become. So out of these, I think the upside, Spencer Torkelson is probably going to be like the one with the most upside, but I think Gavin Sheets might be the one that might be the most consistent. I think
he may be a big surprise. He may be a big surprise. There's a lot of depth in that Padres lineup, and having that much offensive power only helps you as a batter. You get more protection in the plate. Even though he'll hit in the bottom of the lineup, he's going to have a bunch of guys on base ready to deliver and bring those RBIs. So this is a great signing for Gavin Sheets. He had to compete this spring training to get that job, and he won it. He had a great spring, and he's showing signs already in April how great he's playing.
All right, man, let's move on to second base, starting with Otto Lopez of the Marlins, 48% rostered. Looks like people are catching on already. A 345 batting average, 2 home runs, 1 stolen base. Then you have Michael Garcia of the Royals, 39% rostered, a 353 batting average, 2 home runs. And Christian Campbell of the Red Sox, 50% rostered, a 400 batting average with 1 home run. So it looks like, it is second base. A lot of people missed on second base in the draft. So these guys kind of emerging. I feel like a lot of people are taking the chance on him. So I think any one of these guys could be a potential, game changer for you. But Ernie, which of these two second basemen are you most likely to add between Otto Lopez, Michael Garcia, and Christian Campbell?
Yeah, man, this is a tough position. There's not really many guys out there that could win you that league. But if you had to choose one right now, it's Christian Campbell. He's a young kid. He's 50% roster, 54% roster, number 6 prospect in the MLB. Already in like 6 games, he's already proven that he deserves that spot in second base going forward. He's that guy. He's talented. He's shown that he could be a future all-star, man. He continues to get hits. He already has 8 hits this season, already batting 440. He's dangerous. He has the speed. So he has a lot of potential in every different category. He's that guy.
You look at this guy, and on screen, he doesn't really look that big, dude. But this dude's 6'3". He's 6'3", only 191 pounds, which is why I think he looks so small, because he's like a skinny guy. But he's also only 22 years old. Wait until he gets into those man strength years. This dude's going to be He's going to be a really good player, dude. He's already gotten a extension from the Red Sox. They believe in him that much that they gave him, I think it was a 9-year deal. Dude, there's so many teams that are giving these players extensions right now. They're starting to get smart, man. They are locking up these players at like a cheaper rate, the same way the Braves did with Ozzie Albies and with Ronald Acuna Jr. earlier on in their career. Lock them up for a cheaper price, because a lot of these guys like Jackson Merrill, who just signed a 9-year deal, who knows what they're going to be like in 2 years. Maybe they just got lightning in a bottle, and they're doing everything they can to keep it. But what happens if they fall off, and then teams aren't going to be thinking about, oh, I'm going to give this guy $300 million, and then now the Padres did it right. A lot of teams are doing it right. The Red Sox are doing it right. Yeah, dude.
It's a win-win.
Smart.
It's a win-win for both. It's a win for the organization because they get to get a young talent and have him during his prime years. And as a player, you get to get paid early, and you get to test out free agency again once you're like 30, 31, 32, and you can still max out that contract in the future. So not only are you getting like 2 long-term contracts going forward, which is the best thing for these guys, That way, like Jackson Merrill in that case, if he plays great for those 9 years, he's going to get a $500-600 million deal going forward once he turns 32. And is it worth it? Maybe not, but he's already proven that he could continue playing that well, so he should deserve it.
Well, the Players Association already agreed that the league minimum is going up $3 million per year. So that or the total salary, I'm sorry, is going up $3 million a year. So if you think 9 years from now, it's just going to keep on going up, man. So players are going to get paid. I think that both the player and the team are right in this and taking this deal now. And I even saw an interview with Jackson Merrill saying, it's not really about the money. I feel like they paid me what I feel like I should get. And I'm just happy to be here with this team. I love this team. And, that's the kind of player that you want on this team. And, my thoughts always go to your boy, Mike Trout, and was like, he got a really big contract, and he ended up getting stuck on a team that just doesn't really make any moves around him. Unfortunately, Mike Trout was the type of guy that you can build around, and they tried some things, but it just never kind of like came into play. But the Padres, a couple other teams, they're doing it right, man. Getting these players young. I like it. Like what I'm seeing.
For sure, man. It's a rebuilding phase. But I was going to ask you, so Christian Campbell's a guy for you? I know he just got that contract extension. He's a must-add right now. If you need a second baseman, go pick him up. He's almost not available in most leagues. The people that really know how to play this game already got Christian Campbell. So if you're in a league that's still available, with him available, you got to hurry up and go pick him up right now.
Add now. That is probably the biggest must-add from the show today, I would think. All right, man. Totally right. Going to the other middle infield position at shortstop, we have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa of the Pirates, 18% rostered with a .333 batting average, no extra base hits, but he does have 4 stolen bases. Edmundo Sosa of the Phillies, 8% rostered with a .600 batting average, 4 extra base hits. He has 4 games in a row with multiple hits. It's crazy, dude. And this guy, he's always like an afterthought. Like you never think about Edmundo Sosa, but he is getting rostered. And then finally, we have Jacob Wilson of the A's at 11% rostered, batting .375 with 1 home run. In 24 plate appearances so far, Wilson has not struck out at all, but he also hasn't walked either. So dude has some pretty serious bat-to-ball skills. So Ernie, out of these 3 shortstops, which are you most likely to add? Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Edmundo Sosa, and Jacob Wilson.
This is a really thin position right now. There's not really much great choices out there. If I had to choose one right now, it would be Jacob Wilson. I just like the chances there at the ballpark in Sacramento. I think he'll have a better chance of getting more pop there, better hits. Seems like players are playing better offensively at that park. Now, I feel like Edmundo Sosa is a really great player too. You know, getting 9 hits out of 15 at-bats is not something easy to do in this game. And every time he is in the lineup, he delivers. So I would only choose Sosa if there was any injury to Bryson Stott or Trey Turner. If one of those guys goes down, you have to go pick up Sosa. He's a must-add in that point. But right now, just given the fact that he's still a bench guy, it's hard for me to pick him up. But I would have to choose, going forward, Jacob Wilson for week 2. Just he's a safer bet.
Yeah, I really like Jacob Wilson, dude. And I really liked him last year. I actually picked him up, and he ended up getting hurt on his the same day that he debuted, and he was out for a month and a half, something like that. And I ended up giving him up. I dropped him because I had no IL spots, but someone else ended up picking him up, and he didn't really do so good at the end of the year last season. But if you look at his minor league numbers, dude, he's really good. I think he's just flying under the radar right now because of the team context. You know, the A's don't really get a lot of love. You know, there's some guys that are kind of like emerging as top talents, Lawrence Butler, you know, a couple other guys like
Rucker, Soderstrom.
There were even some older guys like Matt Olson and Matt Chapman that a lot of people don't even remember that they came from the A's organization. So that's they crazy. Do have a lot of really good talent coming out of there. The A's just, they don't know how to do their pitching. I mean, they did get Luis Severino, but that was it. That's your ace. You know,
Mason Miller, they're closer. It's nice.
Oh yeah, definitely. But what other bullpen pieces are around him? You got to protect your closer. You can't expect him to go out there and throw 2-inning saves every time he goes out there. You know.
Yeah. Yesterday, Mason Miller had to pitch on a blowout. They were already down like by 10 runs, but they just brought in Mason Miller just to get some work in. I was like, yeah, that's a waste of time. You know.
Yeah. What if they need him today?
Exactly. I think they were off today. That's why they brought him out, just to get some action. But it's still, I would have sat him out. No reason to play.
That makes sense. Let's see. Neto says Edmundo had a double, 107.6 miles per hour. He has to be the best damn utility piece, bench piece in the league.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think once an injury comes around in the Phillies infield, that's where we're gonna see Edmundo Sosa being an everyday player.
The thing is, though, he's 29, you know, and all of a sudden he's going to break out now. I don't know if I really believe that. So I feel
never too late. It's never too late.
Maybe
for just this 1 year. That's all we need him for, fantasy purposes.
Or even if he just is hot for like a month, you know, like you don't have to keep him the whole season. If he starts to slump, you drop him later on and look for someone else out there. But for the moment, if there's nothing else available out there, if Jacob Wilson's not out there, then I might dabble with some Edmundo Sosa. But I think shortstop is actually pretty deep, where people don't really need too many shortstops out there, which is why Jacob Wilson is 11% rostered only. I think that he needs to be a lot higher than that. I would think he should be close to 50% rostered. And Edmundo Sosa is only 8%. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is only 18%. And with Falefa, the only reason why his roster percentage is so high is because he has second base, third base, and shortstop eligibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately for sure. Unfortunately for Jacob Wilson, he only has shortstop. I wish he had second base eligibility. His roster percentage would be so much higher than it is now.
Definitely.
All right, man. So now for the hot corner, third base. And all 3 of these players we have already mentioned because of their position eligibility. So back to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Michael Garcia, and Edmundo Sosa. So Ernie, which of these 3 are you most likely to add at the hot corner?
Yeah, it's tough. You could choose anyone and you'll be probably just okay right now. This only would happen if you're really desperate and you really need a third baseman. there's really no reason you should be picking up any of these guys right now. And, I've been considering if you actually even drop Max Muncy. He hasn't really delivered lately. He's been struggling. Maybe I'm just going to wait till he gets those torpedo bats and maybe, but it's too early to drop somebody like that. It's Max Muncy's still going to deliver. He's that guy. He's in a deep Dodger lineup. You know what I mean? For those guys, I'll still hold off. But if I had to choose one, Michael Garcia. I think he just brings a little bit more speed into the bases. He continues to play every year, and he does already have 2 home runs. He's getting more playing time and making much more of an impact in his Royals lineup. So it's a tough one right there, man, because there's not many options either. And it's too early to tell, and it's too early to drop your guys that you drafted. So if I was you, I would probably hold on. And if you are dealing with a big injury, then Michael Garcia would be that answer.
Yeah, especially in a categories league, if you're chasing stolen bases, like you mentioned earlier. Last season, in 575 at-bats, he had 37 stolen bases, only with a 231 batting average, so that kind of sucked a little bit. But if you look at the previous season, he batted 272 with 23 stolen bases, less at-bats, which is why the stolen bases were so low that season. But if he can get closer to that 270 batting average rather than that 230, I think that could be a mainstay in your lineup for the rest of the season. At least middle infield, corner infield, one of those spots. I wouldn't want him as like my starting third baseman. I would definitely want someone a little bit better than that. But, utility or, if you have that extra roster spot, why not?
Yes, definitely.
All right, man. Now we're moving on to outfield, and give everyone a couple extra names considering leagues roster at least 3 outfielders for each team. So starting with Lars Nootbaar of the Cardinals, 47% rostered, has a 417 batting average with 2 home runs. Victor Scott, 40% rostered, a 348 batting average with 1 home run, 4 stolen bases. And Jordan Walker of the Cardinals, 12% rostered, and 389 batting average with 1 home run and 1 stolen base. And in the notes, Ernie, you actually mentioned that they are all 3 Cardinals that we're starting off with there. I didn't even realize that until you said something.
Yeah, you're totally right. There's not many really great outfield options out there. You got George Springer. He looks like he's already kind of over his prime already. Maybe you should just pass on that. You got guys like Lourdes Gurriel possibly available there. But if you have to choose a young guy and you're playing in a dynasty league, I have to choose that you would go with Lars Nootbaar or Jordan Walker. These are guys I already kind of forgotten about. They just in a really terrible Cardinals lineup that is actually performing pretty well to start the season. They're 4-2 right now. Lars Nootbaar is showing some pop. Jordan Walker's finally getting that play discipline we've been waiting for. He's been getting he's on a 4-game hitting streak right now. Victor Scott, if you're playing categories, then he's a guy if you want to get those stolen bases and get those hits. So it all depends what kind of style of fantasy you're playing right now. But if I had to choose one, Lars Nootbaar is a guy. He's proven time and time again that he can be that center fielder for this Cardinals team. And he's going to hold that outfield going forward.
I really like Lars Nootbaar, dude. Like, I'm looking at his StatCast page right now and just looking at his batting category, everything is red except for the launch angle sweet spot, which that's like basically getting like a perfect on MLB The Show. And dude, his expected batting average is 77th percentile. Expected slug is 78th percentile. His average exit velocity, now he doesn't hit a lot of home runs. He had 14 in 2023 and 12 in 2024, but he's 91st percentile in hard hit percentage and 92nd percentile in average exit velocity. So this dude hits the ball extremely hard.
With those stats you're telling me right now, I'm convinced he's hitting over 20 home runs this year. Easily.
He should. Hold on. Let me check his ground ball percentage because that could be a factor. No, his ground ball percentage last year was at 51.6%, and the year before was at 50.5. League average is 44%. So he is hitting the ball on the ground a lot, a little too much. The fly ball percentage is about 7 points lower than the league average. So I think that's where it comes into play. The launch angle from last season. Ooh. only 6%, 6 degrees. That's pretty bad, dude, because launch angle sweet spot is around like 16 degrees, and he's less than half that. So he's hitting way too many balls on the ground. Kind of like the same thing that I've been saying about Ellie De La Cruz and O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz has seemed to fix something though, because that dude is just freaking raking right now, man.
He
And I
sure
told
is.
Javi, I tried to trade for him in our league. Javi had him, and I almost got him, dude. And he was like, "No, I can't. I'm just gonna keep him." But, man, I really wish I could have got O'Neal Cruz. I do have him in 2 other leagues though.
That's good.
O'Neal
That's a good
Cruz is
option.
my guy, dude. For this year, I really like O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me to think that we're all looking at Cardinals outfielders as great viable options right now. These are guys that just were not drafted. We never thought of them. Just kind of like Jordan Walker's kind of been disappointing these past 2 seasons. Lars Newbar, like you said, doesn't have much pop. There's other guys you could get, but lately they've been performing really well, better than we expected from this Cardinal team going forward. And 4-2 is not a bad record. You know, that NL Central is not as strong as we really think. So they're going to have a lot of favorable matchups going forward for this 2025 season.
Yeah, there's another name that you mentioned in our notes also, Kieran Paris of the Angels. He's only 4% rostered. He doesn't have outfield eligibility yet, but he's already played 3 games in center field, and he should get eligibility soon. He's batting .444 with a 1 home run and 3 stolen bases. We also have Jake Mangum of the Rays, 9% rostered. He's batting .533 with 2 extra base hits and 3 stolen bases. And like you mentioned earlier, the Rays are playing in basically a little league ballpark. It's like a minor league ballpark, the Yankees minor league ballpark. So I think that any Rays batter, when they have home games, is going to have somewhat of an advantage. So maybe Jake Mangum, maybe this could be a breakout season for him. You mentioned George Springer. He's only 53% rostered. He's batting .429 with 1 home run and 1 stolen base. Springer dinger, man. We've seen that for years. And all right, so there's a lot of names there, man. You already said you liked Lars Nootbaar and Jordan Walker. So between Kieran Paris, Jake Mangum, and George Springer, so which one are you most excited about adding out of those 3?
Look, if I want to surprise a lot of people and I want to be that guy that said, I told you so, Kieran Paris is a guy. He's going to take over a Joe Adell's job pretty soon. Every time there's a clutch moment, this guy gets a big hit for the Angels. It's a reason why the Angels are actually 4-2 already to start the season. How about that? Well, it's pretty a big shocker. And the main reason is Kieran Paris. He's proven that he's a small guy, man, but he has been delivering some major hits for the Angels. He is being coached by Aaron Judge's coach, and he's been working out with him in the offseason. And he has the same type of swing style, just like Judge, man, and it's working in his favor. And this is the reason the Angels had to cut Mickey Moniak in the last day of spring training, because Kieran Paris had a great spring training, and he proved that he should be in the everyday rotation. Sorry, not everyday lineup for the Angels.
Yeah, he has second base eligibility right now too. So in addition to that outfield eligibility, we talked about second base kind of being like a position, a very scarce position. So that opens up possibilities for him also. What if Luis Rengifo goes down? That, Kieran Paris could easily just slot into second base for the Angels and get everyday at bats there.
Exactly.
So lots of opportunities. Definitely keep an eye on this guy. Even if you don't add him now, he's only 4% rostered, as we mentioned, so no one's going out and just he's not a hot commodity, but definitely put him on your watch list. And, if something happens, if he starts getting everyday at bats, you definitely think about adding this guy.
Yep.
All right. And now for relief pitchers, for all you David Bednar owners who was just sent down to AAA, our first replacement option is the guy that replaced him on the Pirates, Dennis Santana, at 9% rostered. Has a 270.
He went up to 16. He went up to 16 now. Just saying. Yeah, he keeps
because
his
of
numbers.
The news, probably.
Yep.
So don't miss out. Dude has a 270 ERA, 3.3 strikeout to walk ratio. Only has 1 save in his on his stat line so far, but he only has 1 opportunity so far.
Yeah, and he had some nasty stuff yesterday against the Rays. He showed that he could be that future closer. Definitely has way better stuff than David Bednar. And he has some, he has some swag to him. He looks like he's ready. He was pumped to get his first save yesterday, and he's not going to lose this opportunity, man. It's those type of guys that are really hungry. And once they make it to the show, man, they're never going to let go of that position. So it's good for him. It's good pickup. Not a lot of people know about him yet. It's the Pirates team, not really talked about as much. There's other options out there, but they're inconsistent, injury prone. And when you have a young guy like Dennis Santana, he's going to prove why he should be on the MLB.
So last year, if you look at his overall line, a 3.89 ERA doesn't look so good. But his expected ERA is 3.17, and that looks really good. And if you look at his StatCast page from last year, he has a lot of red also. Expected ERA, 86 percentile. Expected batting average against, 73rd percentile. Has a good fastball. Throws 96 miles an hour. Average exit velocity, he kept that down really low, so he induces a lot of soft contact. Doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but you know what? That doesn't matter as long as you have a good infield behind you and they can field ground balls and throw it over to first and not make any errors. Misses a lot of barrels, gives up a lot of fly balls. So that could be an issue, but in Pittsburgh, the balls don't really fly, as well as a lot of other ballparks. So I think that he could be a decent option also.
Yeah, for sure, man. I like that option a lot.
All right, and then we have Tommy Kahnle of the Tigers, formerly of the Dodgers and formerly of the Yankees, 7% rostered, 0 ERA, 0 WHIP, has 1 save and 1 opportunity, appears to be the saver for saves in Detroit.
Yeah, he's a safe option. I love how he pitches. I love his changeup. Every time he goes up there, he really impresses me and shows why he should be a closer. I'm surprised these other teams like the Yankees and Dodgers never took advantage of his talent. He has one of the nastiest changeups in the league, and he should be a closer going forward.
Yeah, I've always liked Tommy Kahnle, man. I feel like his stuff just plays really well in the league. And the last guy we have is Luke Jackson of the Rangers. He is 40% rostered. He allowed 3 runs on opening day, but since then he's been excellent. 3 saves in his last 3 opportunities. Appears to be the favorite for saves in Texas, but Chris Martin will also get some save opportunities. So of these 3 relief pitchers, Dennis Santana, Tommy Kahnle, and Luke Jackson, Ernie, which one are you most excited to add?
Right now it's Dennis Santana, just because what I saw yesterday, I really saw some good stuff from him. And just it scares me that Tommy Kahnle, like anything goes wrong for him, and I think he'll just put him back to the setup, man. Same with Luke Jackson. You have Chris Martin in back of you. Any moment you mess up, they're going to bench you and put the next guy up. So that's my biggest fear for those 2 guys. Dennis Santana right now, it's given to him, right? David Bernard cannot find his pitching, his command. He's just not. He blew 3 saves back-to-back games. That's not good. And we got Dennis Santana coming from the minors. He's ready to go.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have much competition because who else do the Pirates have, right?
Right. Not much.
All right, man. And finishing off today's show, we have 9 starting pitching options to add to get some last-minute points for this weekend. So starting with, actually, I'm going to put this graphic up here first so everyone can see who's watching on YouTube. All right, so on Saturday, we have Chris Bassett at 39% rostered. He's at the Mets. Michael Wacha, 37% rostered versus the Orioles. Brady Singer, 34% rostered versus the Brewers. Actually, you know what, Ernie? Let's just do one name at a time, and you just tell me yes or no if you would like to add or pass. Let's just say add or pass.
Okay.
All right, so Chris Bassett at the Mets.
You know what? I'm going to pass on this one. I just feel like Chris Bassett had a great start, but he's really inconsistent, and I'm really scared that in Citi Field he's going to struggle with a Juan Soto, Frankie Lindor, ready to take over, because I feel like they haven't performed that well being on the road. But now that they're going to be home, it's going to be different.
I like that take. I like that take a lot. Michael Wacha, 37% rostered versus the Orioles.
I'll take it. Michael Wacha proves time and time again that he's pretty consistent, and he'll get 5 solid, strong innings for you.
Now, does it change when I tell you that Gunnar Henderson should be back tomorrow?
Yeah, it does not change. I think Gunner's going to take him a couple 10 at-bats before he finds his groove.
All right. Brady Singer, 34% rostered versus the Brewers.
Oh, have you seen how bad this Brewer team has been lately? They just can't find it offensively or in their pitching staff. So Brady Singer is a must-add right now. He pitched 7 innings strong and only allowed 1 hit against the Rangers, striking eight Rangers in his last start.
Yeah, he's not really known as like a strikeout guy. He only had 170 strikeouts and 179 innings pitched last season, but he looked really good, dude. He looked really good, and I've always kind of liked Brady Singer. It was a weird trade, him going to Cincinnati. You know, that
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit weird, but I don't know. The ballpark, it kind of scares me. Are they in Milwaukee or are they in Cincinnati? I didn't check that.
Oh, that's a good point, but I'm still taking him regardless. I'll take my chances.
All right, and then we got Reese Olson, 28% rostered versus the White Sox.
Yeah, anytime you face his White Sox right now, you got a must start for any of these guys. It could go wrong. You have Chris Paddock the other day who blew it and gave up 8 runs against the White Sox. But if you're in a situation where you're that close to winning, you got to go for it.
All right, Eric Fetty, 26% rostered versus the Red Sox.
I'm gonna pass on this one. It's too risky. This Red Sox team is still dangerous at the end of the day, and Bregman's finally finding his groove, and Devers finally got his first hit. I don't want to touch with this one yet.
Yeah, imagine when Devers and Bregman really get hot. That Red Sox team is scary, dude.
Yeah.
And AJ Smith Shawver, 25% rostered versus the Marlins.
If you're really desperate, do it. But if not, you could pass too.
I really like Smith Shawver, dude. He changed something. He added some. I think he added a pitch this season. Let me see.
It's one of those, man. It could go either way, and it could either make or break you. And when it comes to the last 2 days of the week, it's scary. So it depends. If you have a big significant lead, there's no reason to add them. Now, if you're like down by 10 points and you need to get this win, AJ Smith could be that guy to win you that game against that Marlins roster. It's one of those coin flips, you know. You don't know.
So it looks like he added a slider into his arsenal, and it's still early. We don't know what that slider is really going to look like against top hitting, But against the Marlins have a decent lineup, but nothing like too scary. I'm willing to take the chance on the AJ Smith Shawver. I think the Braves are just gonna break out eventually, and they haven't won a single game yet, but
crazy.
It's gonna happen. And versus the Marlins, I think they have big opportunity right there.
You're totally right.
And then Matthew Boyd, 13% rostered versus the Padres.
Ooh, I'm not touching that one right now. That's too scary.
I'm not starting anyone versus the Padres right now.
Exactly.
Dude.
They're scary. They're playing really well baseball, and this Padre team looks pretty dangerous. So I would not touch Matthew Boyd right now.
The Padres did everything right when it comes to lineup context. They're adding the right guys. They're keeping the right guys. It looks really good. And I know they're the Dodgers rivals, but it's still good. It's still exciting to see a team kind of develop the way that they have been. They just need some help in the pitching department. I know they got Michael King, who's been great, but Yu Darvish is hurt. Joe Musgrove's hurt.
Yeah. Also, the bullpen scares me, because those like tough innings, those close games are going to be tough to hold those games for them.
For sure. You can't rely on their lineup to score 8-9 runs every single game, because if they're starting pitching allows 5 or 6 runs, eventually the bats aren't just going to not be there. And it could cause some, mental things that are going on. So hopefully they have, something kind of brewing where they can get another starting pitcher in there. I think they missed out on guys like Corbin Burns. I think that would have been a great addition for San Diego.
You're totally right.
All right. And then we have Tomoyuki Sagano, transplant from Korea, I believe it is.
Yes.
From the KBO, 10% rostered at the Royals.
I think it's too soon for me. I still have to see a little bit more from him. He is coming off a hamstring injury from his last start, so it's a bit concerning for me. I need to see this one start before I decide going forward with this guy.
All right, and Marcus Stroman, 6% rostered at the Pirates.
Oh, this is a tricky one because Marcus Stroman could be a hit and miss. And if you're down by 10, 15 points, go for it. But if you don't need to, just avoid him.
Yeah, I think if I'm down, I'm still not
You're
adding
not?
Marcus Stroman. No, I think I'm looking at next week, and I'm thinking like, well, if I have one ad left, I'm not going to waste it to potentially get negative 10 points from Marcus Stroman. I'm looking more for Monday ads to try to like start my week fresh, start week 2 better than ending week 1.
I totally
I,
agree with that.
I think I would just take the L and move on to next week. Marcus Stroman, I don't know, dude. He's 5'9". He's kind of small. The Yankees weren't even going to give him a rotation spot until Garrett Cole eventually got hurt, and he was a little butthurt about it. He got into the media and started saying some things, and probably some things that he shouldn't have. Uh, but I feel like in baseball, it is a team sport, and you have to be a team player. And I don't see that guy as a team player. He's in it for himself, and I don't like players like that. I think that those guys eventually get what's coming to them, and he's just going to get blown up. I mean, he could have a great start against the Pirates. It is the Pirates. Pirates are going to pirate, and
Right.
sometimes they're great and sometimes they're terrible. But I'm not going to take the chance on Marcus Stroman.
It's a tough one right there. You could go either way, depending on your needs.
All right, and then on Sunday, we have Drew Rasmussen, 60% rostered versus the Rangers.
That's a yes. You got to add this guy. He went 5 innings strong against the Pirates, allowing only 4 hits. He's having one of the craziest comebacks in baseball. He's had 3 surgeries on his elbow. Well, that is crazy, and he's pitching really great. I feel like he's going to find his way back. And, the Rays pitching staff does a great job to develop these guys, given all the injuries they've had.
Yeah. And they're usually very careful with all these guys. Like, look at what they did with Blake Snell. Didn't really let him go into the 6th inning. Always he was the 5-inning warrior all the time.
Yep, got the best 5 innings of that guy. But
exactly, Cy Young when he was pitching 5 innings almost every outing back in what was that 2017, I think, something like
around that time frame. Yep.
All right, then we got Kumar Rocker, 42% rostered versus the Rays.
You know what? I give this guy a chance. He had a rough start last game, and you stole them for Max Scherzer. That was a crazy trade from your part, but I think he's going to have a bounce back game, and I think he's going to find his groove again. And that's why he won that starting rotation job for the Rangers, because he has some good stuff.
I mean, you just mentioned it right there. I traded for Kumar Rocker for an injured Max Scherzer. I'm really surprised I was able to actually like pull that off. But the guy in our league, he said that that he was just going to drop him because he needed the roster spot. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give you one of my injured guys. You can stash him on your IL, and then I'll trade for Kumar Rocker. And he was down with it. So
that was a steal from your part, man. You took advantage of him losing by 80 right now.
I know.
Just want to give a special shout out to Camo. Just want to throw that out there. I'm leading the league with the most points. It's only week 1. I'm not trying to brag about it, but we're doing really well right now in fantasy baseball.
2 years in a row, you're going to go 15-0?
We're trying, man. Let's keep it 1-0 for now.
One week at a time, right?
Yeah. That's the best way to look at it.
All right, then we have another Brave, Grant Holmes versus the Marlins.
Man, that's a tough one. I probably would pass on this one. The Marlins have actually surprisingly have been playing pretty well baseball these days, and I'm not sure if I'm convinced with Grant Holmes right
now. David Peterson versus Toronto.
I would probably skip on that too. Have you seen Toronto lately? They're actually in first place in the AL East. They're 5-1. Like, what the heck is going on? They're finding their bats offensively, and they're actually proud to be in first place as the only Canadian team.
Yeah, Bo Bichette's finally starting to look like Bo Bichette again.
And then you got Vladdy on his contract year. He's going to go off.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That dude's going to get such a massive contract.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we have Chris Bubich versus the Orioles.
Ooh, I don't know much about this guy, man. I haven't really watched this game a lot like these other pitchers, but if I had to choose, I would probably give him a shot. Why not?
I really like Chris Bubich, man.
I've heard good things, but I have not watched him live yet.
Last year, he was used mainly in the bullpen, so he only has RP eligibility so far. Eventually, he will get that SP eligibility, but they're using him as a starter now, and in points leagues, that is super valuable to just slot him into your RP slot and just rake up the points as a starting pitcher. So last year, he finished with a 2.67 ERA, but he had an expected ERA of 181, an expected batting average of 191. His average exit velocity was down 83.4 miles per hour. So he induces a lot of soft contact. He was 97th percentile in chase rate, 87th percentile in whiff rate, 97th percentile in K rate, 97th percentile in walk rate. Dude, the whole StatCast page is red, man. Chris Bubich, I think he is highly underrated, and this guy is probably going to be close to 100% rostered by the end of the season, by the All-Star break.
That was a great steal if you get him now. Then,
for sure, definitely.
I'll keep an eye on him on my leagues. But for the last two guys, Jordan Hicks against the Mariners and Will Warren against the Pirates are definitely must-adds. Just want to throw that out there. These are guys. Jordan Hicks is coming off a great performance, going 6 innings strong, only allowing 1 hit against the Astros. He had a rough spring training, but he shows flashes of having nasty stuff, and he's a sleeper, man. And so is Will Warren, coming from this Yankee rotation that is dealing with big injuries right now. They lost Clark Smith, Luis Hill, as well as Garrett Cole. So those are 3 guys missing. I had Will Warren as one of my NA keeper guys. I let him drop him, and I regret it big time. And he's going to be that not that ace, but he's going to be that guy that's going to probably replace Stroman. And once these guys come back,
a solid behind whatever ace they have.
Rodon.
Yeah, I guess Rodon is the ace now, right?
Right.
Ugh.
Tough times for the Yankees. They have stuff to win, but that pitching scares me to go to the playoffs.
They are definitely going to be in the trade hunt come the trade deadline, probably close to the All-Star break. They're going to need that, man, especially the way that you said, like that Toronto and the Red Sox are playing right now. If they really want to compete,
that's tough. That's a tough division.
All right, guys, we reached the end of the show. Ernie, thank you very much for being on the show today. I appreciate you filling in for John. This was great. Love when you're on the show, man. I love your fantasy content and your takes on all the MLB stuff that we got going on right now. Appreciate you being here, dude.
For sure. Well, thanks everybody for listening and checking out our show. Make sure to also check out our Power Hour baseball show on Sunday with me and Carlo Baseball every Sundays at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And if you like our content here for fantasy baseball, make sure to check us out every Thursday night. We have great stuff for you guys and great players to pick up every weekly basis.
All right. And for Ernie Orange and myself, Will Power, this was Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. And we'll see you guys this Sunday and next Thursday. Peace.